So this is a Shelby Cobra replica made by Backdraft, and I think it is absolutely gorgeous. But before we dive into the specifics of this car, let's talk about a little bit of history on this iconic machine.
A racer back in the late 50s named Carroll Shelby retired and wanted to make his own race car. People laughed, they didn't know how he was going to do it, but he was determined to do it. So a company by the name of AC had a roadster car that had a 6-cylinder engine in it, straight 6. But they were struggling at the time. Carroll wanted to put a V8 in it that he'd been working on in it. Oh yeah. Damn, this car screams muscle. Now, he'd actually asked Semi about it first, but they felt that it would interfere with the Corvette, which, whenever it went over to Ford, was one of their direct competitors. So, after winning a number of races in the 60s, it became a very iconic car.
However, once 1964 came around, things were going to change. Carroll had been with Ford for a couple of years now, and had proven himself worthy to Ford, which is why in 1964, Ford handed Carroll their most important project yet, the GT40. Ford was driven mad in their attempt to beat Ferrari at Le Mans. They put all their time, effort, and resources into the GT40, which would then mark a new chapter in Carroll's performance career.
Now, although this is supposed to be a replica of the 427 Cobra, there is a lot that is different from the original in this car. This car's suspension setup is really different because the whole suspension in this car is from an E36 3 Series BMW. So it's independent all around. It has a 343 dip in the back, but the car is truly independent all around. Oh yeah, come on, turn in. Oh yeah. It's such a race car. Oh, and it feels so light and agile. My word. Huh. What a machine. What Backdraft has done is they have made friends with the guys over at Smelding Performance, and this car, the engine in this, is actually a 350 Windsor. However, they have bored it out to a 427 engine, so I guess you could call it like a 427 small block, maybe? I don't know.
Now, because they do this, it weighs 140 pounds less than the older big blocks, and Smelding says it's good for 560 horsepower and 560 torque. But the dyno says a different number on this one.
Well, they actually put this engine, the specific engine in this car, on the dyno, and to the crank, this car makes 583 horsepower, and it's about 560 pounds of torque. So this car has a little bit extra in it. But if you look at that power, that is a shitload of power, given that this car weighs around the same as the Mazda MX-5. Hello. Just waved at me up. They just waved at me too. There's so much freaking attention in this car, it's not even real. Like, God, I might as well be a celebrity in this thing. It is just such an eye catcher. Now, to handle all this power, this car has a 6-speed transmission from Tremec. This is built to handle actually a little bit upwards of about 700 horsepower. So, very strong, very reliable. You know, I've been kind of bopping around in this car I've probably put probably 300 miles on it. And, you know, the first thing they told me is, oh, well, it has a lightweight flywheel, and it's like a stage 3 clutch or whatever. And, you know, I had done a review on the STI, the 767 horsepower one, and that had like a stage 5 clutch, light plate flywheel. I got in this, and, you know, after they told me that, it kind of spooked me. I was like, oh crap, it's gonna be one of those again. But this clutch and this transmission, it's really easy to deal with. I mean, the gear shifts are very short throw, but I like that because this is a race car. But the clutch is also, it's very forgiving. I don't feel like it doesn't catch really high and it doesn't jerk. It's very simplistic. I wouldn't go as far as say it's like anyone can drive it, but if you've driven manual before, you'll most likely get this. If you've driven a Corvette, this will almost feel at home because the Tremec transmission from this is basically just a kind of beefed up T56 transmission.
I then had to U-turn and was pretty surprised.
Oh, let's try to turn around. Oh my God, that has a great turning radius. Fun fact. If you ever need to turn around on a two-way with the Cobra, you can do it. Now for my taller fellas, Backdraft has done you a favor. So I was actually talking with one of the lead developers over at Backdraft, a man named Alistair, and he was telling me one of the other things that's really cool about this car is that this car has a wheelbase that's 92 inches versus 90. So the original Cobras and even their competitors like Factory 5 and them, all those cars have a 90-inch wheelbase. So what does that do for us? Take me for example. I'm about 6'1". My dad's 6'2". My brother is actually 6'3". And I fit in this car fine. I'm comfortable in this. I have another friend who has a replica Cobra and it has a 90-inch wheelbase, and I found that I kind of had to sit in it at an angle, and it was kind of uncomfortable if I'm honest. But this I fit perfectly fine in. The seat feels great. The racing harness doesn't bother me. So because this car has a 92-inch wheelbase versus the 90-inch, I am able to fit a lot better in this car because it's allowed for 3 more inches of width and 3 more inches of length. So the tub in this car is a bit more spacious. And you won't really see it. It won't become apparent to you just looking at it. But if you look at it from the back at an angle, you squat down, you'll be able to see it's a bit wider and fatter. Oh yeah, we're going to turn in here. Let's get one more downshift. Let's flip that throttle. Oh, turn in. Power throughout. Oh yeah. Oh, come on. Oh, there's so much power. It's everywhere. Oh, bouncing around a little bit, but it still feels stable. What a machine this thing is. Oh, what a drug. I love it. You know, I wouldn't say that this is like a really good GT car. Granted, this is a perfect car for going out and cruising. It's open top. It's really enjoyable. However, the ride it's pretty harsh. Like, as a matter of fact, this is the second time me filming this thing, because the first time I filmed it with my bigger camera, and the dual suction cup mount that I had on it just couldn't take it. It was shaking way too much. And this shakes like a race car. As soon as you start it, the car immediately growls at you, and the car starts shaking. It's everywhere. And it's one of those cars that if you rev it, the car shakes from left to right. It's really like an old race car. It's awesome. But going back to my point, my camera wasn't ready for it. So all the footage, whenever I looked at it, it was all shaky. You couldn't hear me because the regular microphone that I used, it was way too much wind. So hence why I now have a lavalier mic to me. I've had to do this whole review a different way because this is the first time I'm reviewing like the closest thing to a race car. To a normal person, this car really won't appeal to you. It doesn't have cup holders, it doesn't have a roof, it doesn't have a radio, but to all the non-car people out there, this car is not for you. If you look at that thing and you say it's impractical, well shit, yeah it is, but look what you sacrificed for it. My whole time driving this thing, I've not once said, damn, I wish I had a radio, or I wish I had somewhere to put my drink. No, it's a bare race car. Like, the soundtrack that I want to listen to is that V8. Only thing I want to hold is the steering wheel and the gear shifter. Plus, why the hell would I want cup holders, or a cup for the matter, in a race car? Weight reduction, bro. Oh, let's get around this guy. You ready for this? Okay, this is what, fourth gear pull? Oh yeah, that's 60. That's 70, that's 80, that's 90. Holy shit! Whoa! Oh my god, that is quick! But the speedy part about that, I don't know if y'all could see that, but whenever I'd hit about 90, it started to like wobble about. And I guess that's when the aerodynamics really kind of start to show their true colors in this car. Alright, let's go for that turning radius, round 2. Oh, look at these muscles. That's no power steering for you, bro. Something else that this car actually has on it, 6-piston Willowwood brakes in the front and 4-piston in the back. So it stops on a dime. Now, Alistair was telling me that this car actually has a little bit extra than what normally comes with their Backdraft pack. For example, the Pilot Super Sports that are on this thing, they're 335s and 295s in the front. Regularly, this car is only supposed to come with 295s all around, but Alistair took the initiative to throw 335s on this. It also has a stainless steel finish on the engine itself, which was extra. something else that Alistair told me that he stressed that it had to have was on the interior of the engine bay. All the interior is body color. Normally, whenever Backdraft starts from scratch, it's all white. And that's normally what they leave it at. But Alistair took the initiative to make sure it was all painted to the body color of the car. And he was actually telling me that if nobody would have picked the car up in a couple more weeks, he would have bought it for himself because he loved this thing. Well guys, it looks like I'm losing sunlight, but I'm gonna enjoy the rest of the ride. Let me know what y'all think of this car in the comments below, and more importantly, let me know what y'all want to see next. I mean, I love reviewing cars, I love doing this, but I'd love to hear what y'all would like to see in the future from me. So with that guys, thank y'all so much for watching. I'll catch y'all on the next one.